This week, Telus ignited a firestorm for their partisan endorsement of the Liberals' job-killing carbon tax on everything. The telecom giant, infected with a serious case of the jet-setting climate Barbies in their PR department, decided they would tweet support for Trudeau, Environment Minister Catherine McKenna, and their version of the National Energy Program. The backlash for Telus was immediate and richly deserved. People are pledging to cancel their services from all across the country. You can see my Rebel colleague Holly Nicholas's video explaining why she's canceling her contract and why she's tired of their hypocritical virtue signaling at canceltelus.com. And now, I want to show you this CBC panel exchange about the plunge Telus took into partisan Liberal activism. This panel actually defends Telus and then goes on to make a mockery of the heartfelt outrage and betrayal felt by Telus' customers. Just watch.
For people like, folks who run kind of far-right websites and blogs and non-mainstream media organizations out in Alberta really took to this because they're so closely aligned. Yeah. Well, because I don't think he counts. I don't think it's just him. I think it's a bunch of sort of trolls in that market, and I consider him, along with all of those other kind of trolls, not particularly more interesting than he's worth. So, in essence, what's happened here, though, is that you've got this kind of alt-right rump. It's the same types of folks who heckle and make false memes about Hillary Clinton. This is the type of behavior that they engage in online. And what we've seen in Alberta politics is that it's particularly vicious. And that with just a little bit of nudging in either direction, this kind of alt-right sphere of Twitter will go after just about anything. These are the same people who went after Tim Hortons.
Yeah, we remember that.
Right, back in the day. So mostly what I think this is actually false public relations. Is something called astroturfing. So what happens in our game in PR is this, every now and then you get an unscrupulous person who calls you up and says, hey, can you make a bunch of bot accounts? Can you make a bunch of false hysteria? It's called astroturfing. And you take people who maybe 5, 10, 20 of them are legitimately angry, and you turn their voices into 200, 300, 400 angry consumers, and suddenly your corporation's feeling a little bit more heat than is otherwise actually warranted.
Did you get that? We at The Rebel are a vicious far-right blog. Now, granted, we do have more subscribers than the CBC and people who are actually willing to part with their own money to pay for our content than the CBC, but we're the blog. Okay, buddy, sure thing. The fancy people in Toronto at the CBC think you're all just a handful of alt-right trolls. The vicious alt-right rump even, and fake astroturfed outrage. We have 10,000 signatures on Holly's petition to Telus, but the people who cast themselves as our moral and intellectual betters are disregarding you all as just a bunch of trolls. They think you aren't even real people, with families and bills and hard choices to make. That panel was dripping with elitism, trying to make fun of you all for standing up for yourselves against a big corporation. You vicious alt-right rumpers, whatever that even means. You were mean to Hillary Clinton once, so now you're being mean to Telus. It would be hilarious if it weren't meant to slander you. These Liberals will use the latest buzzwords to malign you and denormalize you. Calling you a racist has lost its cachet. Now it's alt-right and troll, even though it's pretty clear the CBC panelist doesn't even know what that means. These CBC panelists are the kinds of people who can afford to install solar panels and then pay someone else to shovel the snow off them in the wintertime. Now, I'm the kind of person who would sooner burn a solar panel for heat before I installed that thing on my house for electricity. At least the energy output would be reliable that way. These are the kinds of people who swoon over Trudeau's designer socks, but tell you to simmer down while you shuffle around in 2 pairs of Walmart Woolies to avoid the cost of turning the furnace up. You're all a bunch of trolls. The CBC said so. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunreed. I'm tired of Telus' hypocritical virtue signaling. If you are too, go to canceltelus.com and sign our petition.